Hi there, folks. This here's Uncle Troy, and it's another C Word update. For those of you not keeping track, this is where I talk about my battle with cancer, and it's not one of the happy-go-lucky fun and games videos. Sometimes we talk about, scary, spooky stuff that, you don't want to talk about if you're looking for just a good mood, just a good time film like most of my stuff. So keep that in mind if you're watching, although I am going to try to tell a couple of funny stories today. I figured I would talk to you about my weekly/daily schedule while I'm under the chemotherapy. And what I'll have to go through today, I went for a lab work, simple lab work. And as you notice here, I've got oops, I always go the wrong way. I've got a little pump knot here that you may or may not can see, and a scar. And that is from the port that they placed in. It's a purple power port. And it's used mainly for giving me my chemotherapy because I have pretty bad veins in my arms and hands. And that came into play today because I went in for just some simple lab work, just some lab work, nothing but lab work, that's all lab work. I keep using little quotes because since I'm not doing a full-blown, chemotherapy treatment today, they kept saying, just lab work. All we're doing is lab work. That's all. And they kept using those words like that would make me feel better, that we were just doing the lab work and not the chemotherapy. But I knew the lab work sometimes has problems. And what happened was I was feeling a little dehydrated. I've not been eating or drinking as well as I should. I try to drink as much as I can and try to eat as much as I can. In fact, I keep one of these handy. I wonder how that will show up on the green screen. That'll be something. I have to say that. Anyway, that's an apple for those of you that can't tell. So I hadn't been eating and drinking as well as I could have, which meant I was a little dehydrated, a little malnourished. And so when it came time to do the lab work, I had a feeling they wouldn't be able to find a vein in my arms, my elbows. The veins are very tricky. They roll, they run away, and find one in the back of the hand. Actually, it looked like I had some pretty good veins in the back of my hand because I was dehydrated, and you can see the tendons popping, I think, as I move around. It's actually kind of weird. But anyway, so the phlebotomist, and that's a person that specializes in drawing blood, the phlebotomist poked at me, put a tourniquet around about here so that the veins on the back of my hands would stand up, and then they give it a good thump because the veins in the back of the hands stand out. And they knew from previous experience that the veins that were standing out were liars, and as soon as they poked them, they would disappear because I've been going to the same place and having the same test done over and over. So they sent me over next door to the chemotherapy room where the chemotherapy nurses could poke a much bigger needle into this port here. And the problem with that is that sometimes my port doesn't want to give blood back. It accepts blood very well, or whatever chemical they're treating me with, but it doesn't always give blood back. So I went over there for that, and so they stick the needle in, they start pulling on the syringe, and it's not giving blood back. And they say, well, do you not get a good return? It says, well, sometimes you have to jump through hoops to get it to return. And she's like, well, let's just go for one of the veins in your arms. And I'm like, no, we've already done that. I already talked that over with the phlebotomist. They know me. They know what my response is going to be when they stick a needle in my arm. They sent me over here. And I had to mention a different nurse because there was a different nurse that usually can get me to get blood through my port. So this nurse was telling me, okay, you need to stand up, you need to move your arms, you need to do the funky chicken dance, hold this arm up. And I'm like, really? Usually the other guy has me lay back and relax the arm. She said, no, hold it up. Let's do this. Well, let's put in some heparin, which is a blood thinner. Let's let that sit for a while, and then we'll try again. And so eventually she kept trying, and then the nurse that usually does me finished his lunch and came over, and he had me lay down, stretched out, all relaxed, told me to relax, move your arm this way, and then we got blood. And so the little 5 minutes supposed to go in, one little pinprick, on your hand or your arm, ended up being a full-blown access of the port. I was there an hour and left shaking because when you go through all that, your body my body, let's just say that, reacts very badly and says bad things are happening. You know, you need to quit this, go away. And sometimes it's all I just sit there shaking because it's all I can do not to get up and walk out. But I know how very important it is for them to monitor my blood. At least they tell me that over and over again. And it turned out this time my red blood cells and my platelets were okay. I think my white blood cells were a little low. They were going to discuss it with the doctor and maybe call me in some antibiotics, but they didn't, or at least they haven't so far. So we're good there. So even though I'm a little shaky, I'm a little hoarse, I'm a little pale, I'm told today, I feel pretty good, and my blood work was not so much that we needed to do anything. All right, let's see. I need a prop for the next section. Hold on while I get that. Okay, I hope I'm sitting in the same place as I was, otherwise the green screen won't line up. So the other night I woke up with this here sticking in my face. This here is a 1-watt LED flashlight. I'm going to just shine a little towards you there. You can see it just completely blows out the picture. Poof, poof, poof. And I don't think you're supposed to do that. It also makes me look like I'm telling a scary story around a campfire. But this thing is a 1-watt Husky survival flashlight. And of course, I'm holding it in front of me, and there's a very short depth of field on the camera, so it makes it look like it's much bigger than it actually is. But this thing is very, very bright, as you can tell. And if we were in a dark room, it would be even brighter. This is my Skype picture, by the way. So the other night, I was sleeping very soundly, and I woke up to this shining in my face. And my mother shaking me and asking me if I was okay. And what had happened was, she says she heard me calling for help. And it is entirely possible that in my deep sleep I was saying something, I don't know. But she heard me calling for help and come down to check on me. And my shirt was hanging open because I had a tube running to this. Because I was having chemotherapy done with a take-home pump. And so this was all covered in, I forget what they call it, but basically this was all covered in tape. And my mother could see this scar here. And it looked to her, and that was right at the edge of the tape, it looked to her like I had sprung a leak, and that's where the fluid was I'm getting my directions wrong because this thing isn't mirrored. Anyway, basically she thought that was evidence that I was leaking fluid. And so she had grabbed my survival flashlight that I keep near my bed just in case the power goes out, because you never know when the power is going to go out, and was trying to see what was going wrong with my tubing. And unfortunately, when you're woken up in the middle of the night from a very sound sleep by your mother shaking you and shining a flashlight in your face, your brain doesn't quite work. So I may have slapped at her a time or two. I don't think I hurt her. But she kept asking me, "Are you okay? Is there something wrong? Is there something going wrong?" And what I tried to say was, "Mother, thank you for your concern, but this is simply the scar that is there at the edge of the tape, and that's what you're seeing, and there's nothing to worry about. The pump would beep or be doing something, setting off an alarm if I had kinked up the hose or if it was leaking or something." That's what I tried to say. Now, what all came out at 1 o'clock in the morning was, "Mama, I'm okay, go back to bed." Which, of course, if you're a mother, you never listen to that. You keep going until you... So finally, I had to wake completely up and explain to her exactly what it was and get her to put down the giant flashlight that she kept shining in my face. Anyway, I thought it was funny. And the next day, she thought it was funny, too. But I told her not to sneak up on me like that because I'm a trained security professional and I could have hurt her. Even though all my training is basically on how to stop somebody without hurting them. But... that brings me back to the phlebotomist, why I bother with a phlebotomist or a nurse when there's a doctor there who's well trained, has a medical degree and whatnot. So why am I letting these non-medical medical professionals stab me, or let the nurse stab me when there's a doctor there? And the reason is that, one, having worked in a hospital for 20 years, I know that just because anyone can do the job doesn't mean that everyone has time for it. Basically, if the doctor was having to go to every Nancy boy who couldn't stand having his veins, violated by needles, to get blood work, then the doctor would never have time to do all the other stuff that the doctor has to do. And the second thing is that the phlebotomists work on the veins all the time. That's all they do 24, well, I won't say 24/7, but you know, all day, every day they work on veins. And so when I come in, they know me, they know my veins, they know that the veins aren't going to give good results on a particular day based on the way they're laying, or laying, whatever. So, you know, I trust the phlebotomist judgment, and then one step up from them, the RN nurses that do the chemotherapy and have a bunch of other letters after their name other than RN. But the basic point is that the people that do it every day are the people I want messing with me every day, even though the doctor may be more qualified. I know the doctor isn't getting blood samples every day. She's checking the patients, writing prescriptions, doing the other things that only she can do. And that the phlebotomist and the RN are my best bet of getting blood taken. And eventually blood was taken, and as I said, my red blood cells were okay. My white blood cells were a little low, but not low for me, or something like that is what he said. So basically, I was allowed to go on and eat lunch at Golden Corral, whatever. So to give you an idea of my daily, weekly, whatever process with this thing, on my off week, I'm going to put quotes around off, all I do is go in for lab work. That's all. And of course, lab work took an hour and left me shaking and, you know, not feeling well just from the being stuck and having blood drawn and everything. So on my off week, all I have is blood work. Now on my on week, what'll happen is about Monday I'll go in for lab work and port access, which means they'll draw blood for more lab work, because who knows how much my lab work has changed in a week, and they make it sound like it could have changed quite a bit. And then they access my port. And by access my port, they mean they take this big hook needle and they stab it in there, and then they take tape and put over it to hold it in place. And this is so they don't have to keep poking my veins in my arms over and over and over again. So once I'm accessed, that's like on a Monday. On a Tuesday, I go in, start my chemo, and I have a big, first they start me off with some antibiotics, a big bag of antibiotics, and then they do a big bag of the one particular chemotherapy drug I'm on. I'm on 3 different drugs. And so they one particular drug, and then once that's done, they do a second drug, and then once that's done, they do a third drug, which they put in a take-home pump that I take home and keep on my body for 2 days, constantly pumping into that. It's so that it's one of the most toxic, I guess, and so they stretch it out over 3 days. But so Monday I'll go in, they'll do the lab work, get me accessed. Tuesday I'll go in, start, and then Wednesday I'll be at home with the pump, and then Thursday I'll go back to the doctor's office and they'll finish off whatever the pump hasn't pumped me full of and disconnect me. And the disconnecting part is such a relief, because 2 days hooked up to that pump, it's a little fanny pack. I either put it around my waist or hang it off my shoulder, and it's got a little tube, and I'm always afraid that I'm going to pinch that tube closed, or I'm going to catch it in the door, catch it in the desk drawer, something. So it's really preys on my mind having that up, and I have trouble sleeping. I'll wake up and will not realize that I'm holding that bag in my arms, just trying to make sure it doesn't move while I sleep. And so, like Thursday, I'll get disconnected. Excuse me. One thing these apples do is make me burp. Again, that's an apple. If you can't see it on the green screen, I hope it comes through. But I'm keeping these handy because the acid in the apple kills the film in my mouth that I get when I go through the chemotherapy. And I'm lucky in that the drugs I give don't cause sores in my mouth, because the treatment for the sores in the mouth is ice chips. And unfortunately, one of the drugs I'm on, the first one they give me, something like oxaliplatin, something like that, oxaliplatin, and that causes me to be sensitive to cold. In fact, I have to be careful when I drink my ice water here. It's been a week, and I still have some sensitivity. On the day that I have the Cilaplatin done, that first drug they give me, I can't drink ice water. I have to drink everything room temperature or warmer, because the slightest bit of cold and it's like electric shock to the back of my throat. So after they disconnect me on, say, Thursday or Friday of that week, then I feel bad. The day after I disconnect is when I feel the worst. And then I feel bad that weekend. And about the time I start feeling better is the day I go in for my off-week blood work. And then a day or two after that, generally I'm feeling better. And that weekend I feel great. And that weekend is when I wish I could pick up the phone and say, hey guys, I can come back to work. That weekend is when I say, you know, hey, I've been feeling good. Is it okay if I drive? Is it okay if I go up and see my girlfriend? Is it okay if we go to the movies? Whatever. And they're like, no, 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 you can't drive. My family will not let me drive. But we'll take you somewhere. And that's when I get taken out to eat and to get taken out to the movies and whatnot, and I feel pretty darn good. And the day I feel great and feel like I've never had chemo before and that I can just do anything, that's the day the chemo starts again. So it's about a 2-week cycle. Right now I'm not feeling great. I'm starting to recover. My voice is a lot weaker than I thought it was when I started. But I wanted to tell the story about the flashlight and my mother trying to kill me with a flashlight in the middle of the night. And I knew if I didn't get it done today, as bad as I'm feeling better, but I'm not feeling good. And I knew if I put it off a day or two, I'd forget it, and then next time I was feeling bad, I wouldn't be able to do a video. So I try to do videos when I'm feeling good. It's not the best video in the world. It's just I got my hair and my beard to look halfway decent today. So I figured today's a good day to put a video out. Okay, once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the comments on Facebook. Please hit the thumbs up button, because I know it's a funny video to hit thumbs up on, but thumbs up helps YouTube direct this video to more people. And I think more people with having cancer and going to chemotherapy need a little update, just on how things going for me and how things might go for them. So this is Uncle Troy signing out. Please have a good night.